You're listening to the Marriage Clinic Podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now, your host, Joshua Margaret.
Hello. Good evening if you are in Ghana. If you should be about 8 p.m. now in Ghana. If you're in other parts of the world, it's different time. So it's probably good evening to you in Ghana, good afternoon to those in America, and maybe good night to people in other places. But welcome to the first episode of our Marriage Clinic podcast. First episode of our Marriage Clinic podcast in this format. We have been thinking about starting this podcast for quite some time, and now it's here. So hooray, you are here on the first podcast. You're experiencing the first podcast, and this is the beginning of something that's going to be awesome and great. This is a podcast about love, marriage, and personal development. These are the three things that you're going to be getting from this podcast: love, marriage, and personal development. The purpose of this podcast is to equip you with knowledge, skills, and understanding to enable you have a lasting and fulfilling relationship. My hope is that your relationships will be lasting, they will be fulfilling, they will be happy. And this podcast has been designed to make sure that that happens to you. So, why a lot of times people ask me, they go like, Joshua, why do you talk about marriage and relationships so much? Why is it marriage and relationships? Well, here's the thing. We could talk about so many things. We could talk about finances. We could talk about leadership. We could talk about career stuff. But the truth is, the one thing in your life that happens to affect all the other areas of your life is the relationships you are in, especially the love relationships you are in. When your love relationships are not working out well, it tends to affect every other area of your life. So this is the center that should hold for all other areas of your life to hold. So that's why I'm so passionate about relationships and marriage. The other thing is also that what you would discover is this is the area of your life that affects the next generation should you choose to have kids. It affects the next generation. So what you do in your relationships and your marriage produces children. And when it produces children, they are affected by the information you had before you decided to engage in those relationships and marriage. So this is something that affects you and affects generations to come. And interestingly, if it affects your children, then it goes ahead to affect your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, and we could go on and on and on and on. So that's why we've chosen to focus on the Marriage Clinic podcast. This is a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Love, marriage, and personal development. Now, what's the format going to be like? Because if you've been following me for a while and you know a little bit about the Marriage Clinic, you know a little bit about Joshua Margaret, you would know perfectly well that we run our marriage clinics on the first Sunday of every month. So in the year, we run 12 marriage clinics. But then I had a peculiar problem. I found out that every time we run the marriage clinic, we found out that there was so much information we couldn't deliver because the format put us in probably an hour and a half plus questions to be able to deliver. And we did it only 12 times in the year, sometimes 11, but most often it was 12 times a year. So if there's so much in almost every talk I gave, I would end up sharing probably only about, let's say, 40 to 50% of the material I had on the subject. And mind you, this material was already summarized. So it had been bugging me for a while, and we decided that, you know what, we're going to start a podcast that is going to come to you every single week. Every single week, it is going to come to you every single Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT. Every single Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT, you are going to have a 25-minute podcast on relationships and marriage. Now, that's going to give us about 52 different times to come to you, and then we can share so much more information. The format is going to be quite simple. Most of the time, it's just going to be you and me, a camera, a mic, and me talking to you and us discussing issues of marriage. Then we're also going to, from time to time, we'll have interviews with people who are in the marriage scene, people who know what's happening, people who understand marriage, relationships. Sometimes we'll also interview people who have issues. And then we're also going to have Q&A sessions. Periodically, we are going to have Q&A sessions. So every time this is broadcasting live to you, you can always put a question in the comment section. And what's going to happen is that we'll collate these questions, and then we'll have a time where there's a back and forth with me and another host, and we try to answer the questions that we have. So remember, every Thursday at 8 p.m., this is going to be coming to you. It's going to be coming to you on all the socials. So it's going to be coming on Facebook. It's going to be coming on YouTube. It's going to be coming on Twitter. It's going to be coming on our audio podcast channels as well. And the more you like, the more you follow, the more you share, more people are going to see this. And then we are going to be out there doing things well. Now, what I'm going to be doing, or what the team is going to be doing, I can't say it's a team. What the team is going to be doing within this period is we're going to be bringing you marriage information that is both premarital and postmarital. Premarital and postmarital. So what's going to happen is sometimes we're going to talk about relationship issues before marriage, and other times we're going to talk about relationship issues after marriage. What I'm going to try and do is, I understand that the people who are going to be listening to this are going to be married folk and unmarried folk. We have people who are not yet married. We have people who are married, and we have people who are married and are not married any longer. So we need to serve a buffet that ensures that everybody gets something to eat. So when I'm talking about premarital issues, you, the married person, shouldn't tune out, because I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you the red thread, as people will say, the link between premarital issues and what it causes postmarital. And when I'm talking about marital issues, for those of you who are not yet married, you should be excited, because you are getting information before you have the situation. Now that rhymes. Information before you have the situation. I once had a dream of being a rapper. It didn't happen, but shout out to all those who are rappers out there. It's not that easy to get things to rhyme. So you're going to have premarital information, you're going to have postmarital information, and then you're going to have post-marital information when we happen to deal with issues on divorce and so on. So there is so much information that's coming out there. I want you to get excited. I want you to hop on every time it comes on. Remember, it's on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And there we are going to spend 25 to 30 minutes just talking about relationships, giving you good information, bringing you to a point where you understand things more. Because remember, this is a podcast about love, marriage, and personal development. And basically, the purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Lasting and fulfilling relationship. And already from the marriage clinics, the in-person marriage clinics we have so many people giving us testimonies about how the marriage clinic has helped. The books are helping people out there. And I believe that this is just going to be another tool that is going to help you out there. So congratulations. You are here for us with the first podcast of many to come. And probably when we are celebrating the thousands and the millions of Marriage Clinic podcasts, we will be able to celebrate together. So please like, follow, and share. These are 3 things that you can do. What you must understand is that it's not for self-promotion, but every time you like this podcast, wherever you find it, the algorithm is going to put it in front of people like you. So just by liking, you are spreading the message. When you share it, people you know on your platforms will begin to key in, and then more people get blessed. So like, share, and please do follow. If this is the first time you're tuning in, please do follow, and we're going to have so much more to talk about. Sometimes we're going to do case studies we'll pick particular situations. When people volunteer their stories, we may take times and look at where they made the mistakes and where things went wrong and what they can do. So I'm a person of faith. Thank you so much for joining. Even if you're not a person of faith, you will be able to glean so many nuggets from this podcast. But I will be using principles from my faith, which is the Bible, to explain some of these things as we go on. So thank you so much for being a part of our first podcast. God bless you. We're glad you made it into this podcast, and it is the first of millions to come. God bless. Take care.